Morning, everybody, from Isabela Island in the Galapagos. I'm on a pretty beach here, not too far from the Iguana Crossing Hotel, where we're staying, which I do not like at all. But I certainly like this island. I love the Galapagos, and I like this beach. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a view here, how pretty it is. It's about 6:15 a.m. Sunrise was about 15 minutes ago. This is late July, and I'm pretty much the only one out here. There was one person who jogged by a bit before. The sand is nice and dense here and soft. As you can see, the waves are relatively gentle. It is a very pretty beach, and Isabela is a beautiful island as well too. It's really nice. It's very rustic. It's sort of it is pretty shabby. There aren't any supermarkets. But you get all this beauty here, which is pretty amazing. Let's have a look at that beautiful beach. Weather is, at this time of year, I would say it starts off in the morning about 60, 65 degrees or so. I've got a sweatshirt on, as you can see. It does get maybe at 75 or so in the afternoon since we've been here. Again, this is late July, so it gets very hot here at other times of year. This is the coolest time of year. So not a bad time to come, I guess, if you like that sort of weather. That's why we came at this time of year, to escape Florida's heat and humidity. And what else can I say about Isabela Island? It's kind of expensive. It's very expensive. There's a very limited choice of accommodations. There aren't a lot of restaurants, but there are ones out there where you can find like a lunch or a breakfast for $5. It's not too bad at all. There's some good grill places. There's fresh seafood. Last night we ate at a place called La Casa de Asado, the house of grilling. La Casa de Asado del Anibal Sanchez, which I recommend. It's very good. I had some grilled octopus, grilled shrimp, and a few other nice little local delicacies. But here's a little view, a little morning view of Isabela Island. Not too shabby. Isabela Island welcoming committees here at the dock to greet us. I think his cousin was there to send us off too in Santa Cruz too, so he had one greeting us on the way out and a different one greeting us on the way here. Pretty cool. Okay, good morning to you too, buddy. We're at the port here in Puerto Villamil in Isabela Island. This guy's just making his way up. The Galapagos, of course. The sea lion. This guy. Where are you gonna go, pal? Going out for breakfast? Let's see where he goes. Just gonna plop down. All right. Yeah. As we have a blue-footed booby and some penguins over here.
Galapagos penguin.
Galapagos penguins. Boy, aren't they beautiful? Is this their mating season? The boobies? Is it time for them to mate? All right, guys, come on, move it along. Move it along, boys. Rush hour in the Galapagos, Isabela Island. Move it along, fellas. Need to get through here. Come on, boys. Move them out, move them out. Move them out, boys. Move them out, move them out. It's a race. Who can go first? Come on, guys. We're iguana racing now, James. Yeah, they're crapping themselves. That's why it smells bad.
Yeah, they're moving.
Out on a bike ride this morning on Isabela Island in the Galapagos. There's a giant tortoise in the road. These guys can live up to 200 years. And they can be 600-700 pounds. This guy is probably like 400 pounds or so. He senses me. I'm not going to get close. Can't get within 2 meters of these guys. That's the standard here. They're pretty chill though and relaxed, as you can see. Nice bike ride this morning, huh guys? Yeah. This guy's the only person we've seen so far on the ride. Here's what the beach looks like in Isabela Island in the Galapagos. It's just sort of on the edge of Puerto Villamil, which is the, one of just 2 towns here that has almost all of the population, has 2,900 people or so of the 3,000 who live here. We visited yesterday the other town. It's called Esperanza, which means hope in Spanish, but it's kind of it's a really forlorn place, about 100 people living there. It's an agricultural area up in the highlands, the Parte Alte, as they call it here, of the island. And I would not want to be stuck out there in that town. This is a pretty beautiful beach though, as you can see, and really nice and empty too on a Sunday afternoon. Totally undeveloped. There's no chairs or anything like that in the Galapagos and the beaches, or vendors, anything like that. It's just a relaxing environment. Not too shabby. One of the things I find very interesting about some islands, especially here in the Galapagos, this is on Isabela Island, which is largest by land mass, but has the smallest population, about 3,000 people living on this island in the Galapagos. And you've got some houses that are just have these magnificent oceanfront views. You walk out onto this glorious beach, and you know, just humble houses though. Just ordinary sort of houses. I don't think these folks are home, so that's okay. They've got a chicken out here. Their refrigerator is outside, and some of their food and their clothing drying over here, but you know, quite a humble operation here. But look at the view that they've got here. You walk out onto this. Not too shabby, huh? Not too shabby. How much would this view be worth in the US? Millions. This morning we're over at the Wall of Tears on Isabela Island, and this is a wall with really no purpose to it, as you can see. This was built by prisoners here a very long time ago on this island. This is about a 5-kilometer bike ride, very interesting bike ride outside of the main town here, Puerto Villamil. And you can see here, here's a memoriam to those who suffered and died here in 1946 to 1959. 1959 is when they abolished, there was a prison here on this island. There were originally slave colonies here. There were some fledgling slave colonies here in the 17 and 1800s, I believe, but there wasn't really a permanent settlement on this island until the 20th century, as I understand it. And there was a prison here. This is sort of like there was a jail here until 1959, on the 100-year anniversary of Darwin's publishing of Darwin's On the Origin of Species. They destroyed the prison once and for all. And this was apparently they built just out of cruelty, just to keep the prisoners busy. They had them build this wall. It says here, the Wall of Tears. Between 1946 and 1959, here ran the infamous Isabela Penitentiary colony. In those days, the Galapagos Islands weren't the site we now appreciate, but a distant retreat for adventurers or scary outcasts and a destination for political prisoners and common delinquents.
The Wall of Tears is the only remaining evidence of a prison camp where abuse of power finished with the lives of many prisoners. This futile construction is preserved in memory of those hardships endured by those forced to build it during this particular moment in Ecuadorian history. Yes, there were a lot of outcasts and ne'er-do-wells who tried to settle on these islands, including pirates and drunkards and slave masters, I guess you'd call them, and such. So, of course, remote islands like this would always sort of attract outcasts, wouldn't they? One of the early settlers, I think one of the first Europeans to try to settle, I believe his name was John Watkins, settled on Floriana Island, and he was supposedly a notorious drunkard, and who may have even been a cannibal, apparently, too. He took some slaves, and they believe he may have eaten them. He was eventually imprisoned in Guayaquil, at least. That's the tale that I read in a natural history guide to the island. But this is the Wall of Tears. Very sad and sobering place, though, isn't it? Now, this is apparently the very, very, very top of the view here. The incredible vista you get for hiking and bike riding out to the Wall of Tears here on Isabela Island in Galapagos. And you just keep getting higher and higher on this path above this Wall of Tears that the prisoners built here when this was a penal colony, just to keep them busy. And then you've got these hiking path up above this Wall of Tears, which is just incredible. You keep getting higher and higher, and the views just keep getting more spectacular of all of Isabela Island up here. It is a pretty strenuous bike ride, would you say, Jen? What did you think of the bike ride? It's very pretty, though. We saw a lot of scenery. We saw tortoises.
It wasn't too bad. The hike is pretty strenuous.
Yeah.
Well, it's just up.
Bike ride can be a little strenuous too, so depending on what sort of bike you get too. There's some very cheap bikes in town here in Puerto Villamil, and there's some nicer ones. The place we rented is a little bit more expensive. It's, I think, was $15 for a half day, or $2 an hour, $4 an hour, something like that, but the bikes were a little bit better. Could be worth it because part of the bike ride is uphill, depending upon your budget, but this is definitely worth doing here on Isabela Island. The views are just spectacular, as you can see. We're the only ones here. It's about 10 a.m. Friday morning in late July. I'll show you a little bit of the panoramas here. And there's a lot of the bike path out here is very well marked. There's all kinds of little miradors, lookouts, and a couple of little beaches you can stop at. What's that, Jen? Wetlands, and there's signs for everything too, and it tells you not only like pointing this way, but saying how many meters the point of interest is in that direction too. So it's all very, very well organized, and it's well worth your time here. This sign says the trail ascends to a height of 150 meters on Radar Hill. It says between 1942 and 1945, during World War II, this hill was the site of a radar station, a strategic military installation in the Southeast Pacific during World War II. And of course, as I was just telling my wife too, the U.S. Army was here. They owned Baltra Island, or didn't own it, but they were leasing Baltra Island during World War II, and they apparently tried to lease it more permanently afterwards, or buy it, and the Ecuadorian government said no thanks, apparently. And so I think the U.S. Army presence ended in 1946 here. A little after sunrise this morning here on Isabela Island in the Galapagos. Standing up on the terrace here of our hotel, which is called Iguana Crossing. I wish I had something positive to say about this hotel, but I don't, other than this magnificent view. Glorious view, which is basically all this hotel has going for it. It's incredibly overpriced. And it's basically a 2-star hotel with a 5-star view and 5-star prices. It has the islands here don't have good Wi-Fi, but this place has the worst Wi-Fi I've ever seen in my life for supposed luxury, quote unquote luxury hotel. We went to like a asado, a little humble grill place last night that had better Wi-Fi than this place. This place, it has Wi-Fi supposedly only in the lobby, but even if you're sitting right next to the transmitter, you can hardly even send or receive an email, which is a joke. They have showers. The shower spits out here. You have to almost be holding this button at all times to get any water. The water spits out in 2-second increments, meaning you hold the button down and you get 2 seconds worth of water at a time, which spits out at you. And of course, this is all under the guise of being eco-friendly, right? But really it's just for them to save themselves some money and not get decent internet or have an adequate amount of water to wash the sand off of you and such after you come back from the beach. But anyways, that's a bunch of complaints. There's also too, we weren't even given any breakfast at this hotel either for the exorbitant rate that we were charged. They wanted us to have to pay like a lot more money for breakfast. They also, the port is 5 minutes away from here. It's literally a 5-minute drive, and they wanted $20 for a ride from the hotel with our luggage to the port, which everybody else said here on the island was totally ridiculous. So, not a fan of Iguana Crossing, but I am a huge fan of this view. But you don't have to stay here at this hotel to enjoy the view, so I would not recommend this place at all. About to board our flight here in Galapagos Airport. Look who's crossing right across the gate. How cool is that? Now you don't see that in an airport too often, do you? Check him out. The Big Daddy too, look at him. Big sucker. Marine iguana. Gotta love them. And here is our flight. Goodbye, Galapagos. What a unique and wonderful place this is. I gotta tell you too, there's a place here at the airport. There's a cafeteria here at the airport in Santa Cruz in Galapagos that has Ecuadorian food. Very delicious humitas, which is a corn and cheese dish that's quite good for like $3.50 at the airport. Add to it. You can't beat that for airport food, can you? Pretty cool airport too. It's on Baltra Island, which is an uninhabited island. It was at one point leased by the U.S. military, I believe, in World War II. There was a base here, and I think they wanted to lease this land permanently, lease this island permanently, the U.S. military. But they weren't allowed to. In 1946, they left.